Hey everyone, this is GOL from iPhone Production Squared, and we're here today to do just a little bit of recording for Space Crusade, the developer's vlog. So what I've been doing the last couple of days is going through and trying to, one, continue working on the code and also get the code back up to where it was before I moved it over to code blocks. In terms of the, some of the things we had to change because of code blocks being ridiculous. In the process, I found a hell of a lot of errors, typos and whatnot, that PlayClaw never reported on because it doesn't have that real-time checking that Visual Studio does. So, really, PlayClaw is not a fit, I think, for most programmers. It's not up to snuff. I really wouldn't recommend it to anyone, as a matter of fact. Because without that real-time checking, you're going to be doing a lot of bug fixing on the back end, and that's going to mean that by the time you're ready to compile the program or module or whatever, you might have multiple issues that stack up on each other that require lots of recoding, whereas with Visual Studio, you get to see those in real time and you can fix them in real time, and not have to go back and then say, okay, so this problem was there, and because of this issue, we have to fix all this other code because it's based off of whatever the problem is on this one that needs to be resolved. Like, for example, maybe you create a string, but it turns out that while you're working on it, somehow the string needs to become an int or something, and you forget to change it. And so, or maybe some other type or some other example. It's not really a good one, but you get the idea. Not having real-time checking is really a disincentive for using it, at least for me, because I make a hell of a lot of typos. Though that's just me, I guess. Maybe other people don't have as many. Anyway, so we did that, and I did some more work on the code. The way that the blackjack's going to work for the bets, the player can do whatever bet they want. The AI, though, I had to kind of get a little creative here. The idea was that we had to have the AI make bets based on the cards they had, but it also had to be random yet structured. So what it means by that, random means that there's a random amount that gets bet, but at the same time it has to be structured based on what the cards that the AI has. So I came up with this thing where what happens is that we do a multiplication division situation where, depending on two things, either if the bet is under the current total amount of chips that the AI has, or if it is equal to the number of chips they have. So, how this works is, we'll use this one for example. So if the AI has blackjack, the bet's going to be pretty huge. So let's assume that the AI has 7,000, let me write this down so I can remember it, 7,936 chips. And let's say that the random pulls out 5792 chips. So we want to go, since that's underneath the maximum amount of chips, or total amount of chips, we want to use this formula here. So the AI would look at that and say, okay, so one of our cards is equal to 21. So we need to do something with the bet. So my total bet is not going to be all my chips, so we need to look at these functions here, or rather formulas here. So we have the bet that was chosen, which is 5792. Then that has to be times 7. So it's 40,544. Now we have to divide that by 6. Damn it. Times by 6. So that comes out, let's make sure that's right, because 5792 times 7 divided by 6. Okay. So yeah, that comes out to a total bet of 6,757 chips. That value is always going to be under what the max number of chips is. But just in case it's not, for whatever reason, maybe somehow something goes wrong in the calculation or whatever else, we have this check here. This is just an insurance because there should be no case where it's over because of how the multiplication division is carried out. But if it is, then we go back through and we subtract from, or divide by, by 8. So let's see if we actually maybe we can make it happen. So let's say that the player has what we said. The AI has that many coins chips still, but then the bet is going to be closer to the max number of chips. So let's say 7, 8, 2, 4 chips bet. So 7, 8, 2, 4 times 7 divided by 6. So okay, so in this case, it's over what the maximum number of chips, the total number of chips it has still. That's where this comes in, because using this, it will never, ever, ever be over the total number of chips when we use this thing down here, because then we divide it by 8, and that comes out to 1,141 chips being bet. Now, there's also this other one that we have, and that is that if we're already using the max number of chips, then we just want to divide that by 3, so that the AI doesn't use all of its chips on one game and gets busted out, or has to leave the game because they don't have any chips. So 7936 divided by 3. So the bet would be higher than it would be if they had most of the chips but not all of them in the bet originally, because of this here. But it's going to be lower than if the player had not nearly all the chips being bet because of this here. So it kind of adds variability, randomness, but also structure to how the bets are done. And that's what I was looking for. Something that would allow the bets to be varied various ways, but also be structured based on certain points of reference, which is what each of these if conditional statements looking for the value of the cards is. And then also further subdivided by that is the how many coins is bet originally. So if almost all the coins are bet, the total final bet's going to be lower than if not all the coins are bet, and also lower than if all the coins are bet as well. But if all the coins are bet, that one's going to be lower than if not all the coins are bet. So it's kind of confuzzling and insane, but at the same time it works out pretty well. And how this works now is we go down through, and as we go lower, we drop down these two by 1 value each, and this one as well, and we increase this one by 1. So the next one's going to be 6 and 5, 6 divided by 5. Then if it's still over the total number of chips, divided by 7, and if it is the total number of chips off the bat, then it's divided by 4. So we add, increasing but decreasing kind of a scale as we go down. The chips that you get from having not all your chips being bet at first is going to go higher, and then but if you have all the chips bet, it goes lower. So again, it's kind of a structured random insanity that I've created here, and it goes all the way down until you get to 17. And the reason I cut off at 17 is because after 17, and we need to fix that because that's still saying 18. Because after 17, essentially what happens is 17 is considered to be a special. We can also have it with an ace, but that's the thing though. The ace can be 1 or 11, so we don't want to. This how it goes is the way that I'm doing the ace with the AI is that it's done by random essentially, but there's a higher propensity for an ace being 1 than 11. Even if the 11 would make sense in context of the other cards, so that's not gonna be exactly as human-like as normal. But again, you don't want the AI to be completely human. You want it to be somewhat random, while at the same time being able to present a challenge that's not too much of a challenge. If you make an AI too human, in other words, if you make an AI that will choose the most appropriate course of action every time, in other words, if the AI always makes the ace a 1, or if it always makes it an 11 based on what the other card is, then the challenge becomes too hard, if you ask me. There should be some more randomness in how the AI behaves, rather than just having it cheat or always have the upper hand. Plus, maybe the AI thinks, okay, well, I've got an ace and I've got a 4. Now I can go with an 11 and 4 make 15, but at the same time, that means I have a greater chance of busting. And if I go ace as a 1 and then a 4, then I have a greater chance of getting to 5 cards under 21. That's something else that can be considered as being able to explain why the computer isn't always going to choose one or the other. It's just going to be more of a random chance. And in fact, though, this is actually more realistic than anything else, because 1 is usually what aces become, the value they become, unless you have a 10 or something that puts you over 17. Now, again, the reason why 17 is so important is that that's kind of a magical number. After 17 and after, really, the dealer has to stand. It cannot take another bet, because the way that the game is operated on the casino level is that the casino doesn't want the dealer to be busting out needlessly. So if the dealer is 17 or higher, they can no longer take a card. They have to stand. So that's why that's an important breakoff number, and also for the AI. Now the dealer, the dealer would go through this too, I suppose. So that's why we end at 17, and then every other card after that's dependent on the uses this basic formula of unless it's a double card, in which case the formula gets kind of shifted, twisted, skewed, or whatever. Because for a double card, in other words, if you have double means if you have 2 cards of the same value. What happens is that we change the formula. So let's say that the bet is still, what's he for? 5, 7, 9, 2. And this time we have two cards of the same value. So what the AI is going to do is going to say, okay, so we have 5, 7, 9, 2 times 4 divided by 2. Now that's still going to probably always be over, so then we divide that by 6. And so you get the value here. Now, if the maximum number of coins or chips is already being used, so 7, 9, 3, 6, that just gets divided by 5, and we get that. So in this case, it's always almost going to be more lucrative for the AI if the number of chips that are being bet is at least underneath, I think at least 10% lower than the maximum number of chips they have to bet with. Almost always. Just because of, well, actually no, even up to being 1 chip off a total, because in this case it's always going to be over, so we're going to get that divided by 6, or almost always going to be over, I should say, not always over. Like if the bet's only 24 chips, it's only going to be a small amount. So 4 divided by 2, so that'd only be, seriously, 48? Did I start at 48? I think I started at 48. Well, whatever. But you get the idea on that. So that's how we're doing all the cards and all that. And then if the cards aren't the same, then we just do this. If card 1 plus card 2 is less than 17, because at this point in time, well, see, there are instances where that might not be true, because the 11 here, if it's an 11 and anything over 6 or over, it's going to be 17 or higher. So let's create another kind of custom thing here. Values over equal to, and nice, we had an E there. Now what we're doing here is just examining the 2 cards you get at the beginning of the game. That's what all this is for, is setting up the initial bet. And actually the bet period, unless I choose to do in-game, in-turn betting, which I don't know if I will or not. It'd be an interesting, change to the game, though. That might be something to explore later on. So for this, I want to use the same as we have here for this, but we want to change it up a bit. Again, just to make it a little different. So, let's go times 6 divided by, let's go by 2. And then if it's still over, divided by 3, I think. And if it's at max already, divided by 7. So let's have a look and see what these produce. So again, we have our 5792, and we're going to multiply that by 6, and then divide it by 2. And that's still way over, so we're going to divide it again by 3. So 5792, wow. Well, that is true, isn't it? Because if you divide it by 2, then by 3, you're dividing it by 6. So essentially, it's the bet. Yeah. Okay. Let's go 6 divided by 2 divided by 4. Uh, 792 times 6 divided by 2 divided by 4. Okay. And then if we had the max non-chips, which is 7936, that just gets divided by 7. Alright. Now let's say we had again the 7824, which is times 6 divided by 2 divided by 4. So that's actually pretty close to what it seems pretty good. Yeah. Again, there's probably not going to be a time when it goes over the max after the second one. Just to be sure, though, let's say we had a total number of chips for the AI equal to 250,875, and the AI is using 24,975 of those coins or chips. So that's going to be times 6 divided by 2 and divided by 4. So no, yeah, it's still well underneath. So that works. So yeah, that'll work out just fine. Alright, and then we have that. So now what happens next is that we go into the processing the actual turns. So we go to the menu, player chooses the option to happen. Now we have to check for a stand, so we'll say bool player stand. Now, how many, what's the max number of players we can have? So remember, we gotta take into consideration the player themselves, and then all the AI, including the dealer. What we need is the setup players AI, CAI, yeah. So at max, number of players is 9. Or no, that's for roulette. We want the slots version. So I made a different version for slots. Or did I? Maybe I didn't. Maybe the slots adds the dealer. Okay, the slots adds the dealer. Manually. Okay, so we actually have to add the really, we don't have a set chips. Or it's update, I bet. Yeah, update chips. And we'll say that the dealer will get 1,000,000 chips. No, that's too many. 450,000. No, it's still a little. Let's say 250,000. That's how many chips the dealer gets. Now, what I also want to do is go up here to game, back up here to the, or down, or wherever the hell it's at, the SC Blackjack. What I want to do with this this random here is I want to say that if the so else if players dot at I dot get name equals dealer, because we want the dealer to have a maximum number of maximum deal they can do, so they don't bet all their chips at once. Because in this game, the dealer will also make a bet, and if the dealer loses, the dealer will pay out that bet, half of that bet to the players. So that's how one change to the this version of the game, future version of the game. So now what we want to do is we want to say aren't 1, aren't 2. Actually, that's for the starting deck. Whoops. My mistake, I was on the wrong one here. We want the bets. Here we go. And we also, again, want to make sure that we're not dealing with the dealer here. Now, in this case, now if it is the dealer, we want to do something new. So count. to do create a timer like is used in the mining code. So essentially what's going to happen is that if the dealer runs out of chips, then the table's going to be there's going to be like a period of time waited, and then the table's going to essentially be restocked with chips. I was gonna say restart the game, maybe not. I don't know, because we have to deal with that and the fact that. Okay, let's do this. We have the else if. Let's put it within inside of this else. That way we don't have to deal with the dealer doesn't run out of chips. Or rather, the dealer doesn't miss their turn to set a bet for themselves, and we don't have to do any kind of weird stuff with that. So now here's where we wanted to put in that code we had. Well, that's interesting. Well, we can use that. So, if the current bettor is the dealer, we need to ensure that the dealer will not bet either more chips than it can pay out on a loss, or that it does not bet all of the chips. The ships. Alright, so first thing we need to do is we need to get the number of players and use that as a means to kind of control a bit. So first we need to get the bet. Now if r_int1 times players dot size is greater than players dot at. Actually, it's players -1, because we don't want to include the dealer in that calculation. Dot at I dot get chips. So, if the random actually, no, we want to leave it as what it is, because we are including in there the player. So the player takes over the dealer's slot in the scope of that value. So that's right. Because the player's not included in the player's array. Just the AI are. So just essentially switch out the dealer for the player as being that last value. Last element. So times this number of players is larger than total chips. We need to reduce the bet until payout is equal to a third of total chips. We'll say 2/3. So, we do a while, or I'll set to be valid equals false. While essentially what we'll do now is we'll take off we'll take off a total of well, essentially we'll divide the bet by a certain amount each time we go through this, and then check it against this condition here. So we go r into 1 equals r into 1 divided by we don't want to go too much and not too little. Let's say by 5. So if r int 1 times players.size equals the total number of chips. So players.at_i get chips. I'm going to say ships all the time. Divide, so 2/3. I'll say half instead of 2/3. So that's easy to do. We just go divided by 2. 2/3 would have to be a float, and I don't want to do that. Then be valid equals true. Otherwise it stays false, and we continue through until well, it is equal to or less than, we'll say. That's essentially what that will do. So as long as the now, if this is not true, if the bet times player.size is not greater than or equal to the number of chips, we still want to check, because we want to see now if it's a majority of the chips or not. So we don't want to have the dealer betting really more than half of its chips. So actually we could probably just do that to say so really what we're saying is we're bringing this down to 1/4 of the total chips that it has to bet with. So that way, if the dealer loses, it's only going to lose a 1/4 of its chips. That still means that it'll take a while for it to, it won't take as long for it to lose all the chips as it would if it was just, relegated to a specific type, size range of bet. But at the same time, it's going to be a a long time before it does, because what will have to happen is that the bet will keep getting smaller until it's, a quarter of it each time. So like if the bet's only 10, then or if the total number of chips left is only 10, well, that's true. We have to account for that too. If the chips, so let's do this one as the second one, because we really wanted to be able to check for this first. So actually, if let's say dealer, if the chips are less than or equal to 50, we'll say, well, equal to 10 times players dot size. So that way, there has to be at least 10 chips for every player that is playing. So then we don't have to check for that, because that'll be fine. No, but we have to check those and make sure that the bet. Okay, here's what we can do. 1 times players dot size. So you have to have at least 1 chip for every player. So in other words, if there's 9 players, then the bet that the lowest bet the AI can do is 9, because that would be a payout of 1 to each of the players. Is essentially what that means, and that's how we can deal with that issue and not have to do an if-else situation on this. All right, so after that, though, the rest of the bet happens like normal. That's just the base of the bet. Everything else still goes through this process. So let's actually go through that and make sure this is going to work properly. So let's say that the player, the dealer has been doing pretty crappy, losing a lot. And let's say that out of the 25,000 they started with, let's say the dealer has a total of and of course, you also have to consider that the chips are being taken out of the dealer's pot to give to the player when they win, too. So either the AI has been really crappily playing, or the players have been winning like crazy. So let's say that the dealer has, the table has left a total of 107,521 chips. Alright, so let's say that the random bet now is going to be 2,000. Just out of, now let's say 20,000. That's the base bet. You know what? Let's see. What we can do here is say, let's take this off of here and put it up here. Except this is going to be divided by 4. No, divided by 6. 10. That way they only use 1/10 of the total number of chips. So, that's just a means so you don't have 20,000 bets on chip bets. So that'd be crazy. If the dealer bets that much, and again though, it would be kind of relegated by this part here. But at the same time, I want to try and keep these bets smaller. So, but we'll try it both ways. We'll try it with this way first. So we got 20,000, and obviously we're going to chirp that because we're going to say there's 8 players. So we have 20,000 on the bet times 8. Okay, so that's 160,000. So that's way over what the table has left. So it's going to go into this, and we're going to say, okay, we're going to divide that by 5. So the first time we divided by 5, 32,000. So now, if that times the number of players, so times 8, still really high. Or wait, no, that's not. What we want to do is we want to divide the 20,000 by, excuse my derpness here. Now that times 8. 32, well, it's essentially the same thing. So it was 32,000, which is what it was when we did the other thing. But, so that brings it down within the realm of, possibility. Now let's try with 10 though. So we got 20,000. And, well, it's divided by 10, so the max we can do is 107,521 divided by 10. So it's going to be, the max is 10,000. So let's say that the bet is going to be 7629. So 7629 times 8 players again. So that's still relatively within the realm of possibility. Now, since the max bet is only going to be 10,000 though, or so, we also want to say, okay, max chips divided by 4. So if the max chips we have, let's write that down. 6. Well, we don't have to write that down. What we need is what we have here, which is the original bit. So, if we have 107,521 divided by 4, so that's still going to be over. So we're going to go through and do the whole thing again, same thing again. So, 7629 rather, divided by 5, and that times the number of 125 times 8. So that puts it within the realm of the additional thing there. I think we'll do it this way. That way the dealer's not going to be running out of chips anytime soon, and it's going to be a little more balanced for the base bet. So 1525 is the base bet. Now let's say the dealer has an 8 and a queen, so 18. So we're going to go down into here, and it's going to go into this one. So we get the base bet. And we need to multiply that by 4, and then divide it by 3. So 2033 comes the base bet. That's still way underneath the total number of chips, so we don't have to do anything with that. So now we have this times 8, which is still well under the 20,000 or so limit on the max bets that you can do on the random, so it still works perfectly. So that's going to work, I think. And again, we only use about 1/10 of what the that is actually almost 1/10 of what the or no, it's more than 1/10, I guess. But still, it's fairly accurate as far as how many chips you want to have to create a longer game. So I think that'll work out fine. And if not, I can always fix things if I need to. So the next thing is to deal with this whole actions thing. We got the bool created, so that was over here. What do we call it? Okay, so we have the max of... That's right, we're looking up the max number of players. And it was 9, including the player and the dealer, so that's really 11 total. That can be. So we need to account for that in this, in these. So BP stand 8 or 7. BP stand 8. 9. 10. 11. Okay. Let's see. Bool. So the reason we specify blackjack is because the dealer doesn't actually play in poker. Well, no. Yeah, the way the poker... Well, it depends on the type of poker you're playing. For playing poker kind of like just a... Oh no, I guess the dealer does for blackjack, as we'll say. Because I guess the dealer does play. I think if... Because the dealer's going to be one of the players. If the... Trying to think of how they do poker, or did poker in a casino setting with a dealer that's from the house, though. Nowadays they have video poker, I think, and they only do blackjack by hand. You know, actually sitting down, I think. And the poker games that they do play are all high stakes, and they have, you know, the special tables and whatnot in the back rooms and such. But I could be wrong on that. Boo, not bull. We need bull, not boo. Boo player stands. Alright, so I got those. So we're going to use BP stand 1 for the player and 11 for the dealer. Everything else in between is all the other AIs. So, BP stand 1 equals true. So, if BP stand 1 does not equal, or equals false. And then that's going to have to go at the bottom of this, yeah, so that'll be that. We need to put another one in for the while loop. Okay, we still need to figure out the split. So we need to create also these for busting out and surrendering. Selection. Place stand with bust. And this was surrender. Alright, actually what we just do is this. Not the equals, duh. It's a bool. What the hell am I thinking? BP bust 1 and or if or rather it should be an and, shouldn't it? It's true. Because we want to make sure all these are not true. As if one of them is true, then well, now, see, here's the thing, though. This is where it gets kind of complicated, and you have to think about it. Ands require every one of them to be true in order for you to continue. Okay, no, yeah, that's what we want. Ors is if one of the specified conditional statements is true, then it continues. But if it's and, then all of them have to be true for it to continue. So, in order for you to continue playing, you have to have all these be false. You can't be busted, you can't have chosen to stand, and you can't have surrendered. So yeah, that works out perfectly. BP surrender 1. And then here we're going to do the if BP stand 1. Let's see. There's the thing though. You know what we'll do? We'll leave these here we'll leave 2 here for the dealer and 1 for the player. However, we need to add these into the CAI really, because otherwise we're going to have to actually go through and say, you know, if I equals 2, then use B surrender 4. You know, we'd have to check for all that stuff. So let's only have 2 of these. Because the dealer and the player are not... Well, the dealer's tracked by that too, isn't it? So really all we have to have is just 1. True. Because if the dealer can be used that way as well. Since it's actually being considered a you know, AI player. Okay. I'll go to CAI up here, and we'll add some bools. So, CAI states. Should we do bool or should we do string? If we do a string, we can put all of them together, but a bool... No, let's do a string instead. String get state, and then void set state. Alright, so that's how we'll do it with that. We'll use bools though with the player. And player. And that'll be displayed every turn. Else if BP bust. That should be not 1 anymore, but none. Now what I want to do is I want to take all this up to the wherever the hell it goes to. Let's go up to the while. Now it's one more. This is the while. Yeah. So I just want to go down to the while here. And KD. To get the formatting correct, tabulature correct. So the player always goes first, and then the AI go next. That's where we're going to stop for now. I don't want to fill up too much space because I'm trying to get some more recording done for Skyrim this week, so we get a little bit more footage, so we don't run into a problem having to get more footage every week and having to deal with that, Ligaya and Senasaka 2 at the same time, because that would just be a disaster. So we're just going to end that for right now. And thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the videos. If you have any comments or questions, leave them below in the comment section. And if you have not yet done so already, would appreciate it if you subscribe to our channel. And I will see you next time.